Hey comrades, what's up? So, I wanted to talk about SolSeraph, which I just beat recently. What is SolSeraph? SolSeraph is an ActRaiser style clone, which is a funny thing to say because there's really just ActRaiser Revolution, and this. So, what exactly is ActRaiser? ActRaiser is this kind of fun, like civilization management / action adventure game. So, with ActRaiser, you play like this unnamed god, and you come down to Earth and you kill monsters and open up spaces, and then you help the people like build their civilization and take out monster dens. And then in the Revolution, like readaptation or remake, there's a kind of tower defense thing that goes on after you shutter certain, or before you can shutter certain monster dens. I really enjoyed ActRaiser and ActRaiser Revolution. I'm not a big fan of the tower defense, but I feel like they handle it all right. So SolSeraph is a game by, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's produced by, it's produced by Sega, and it's essentially like a complete ripoff of this idea. So there's the action adventure parts, which you can see here, where you're like an angel type character and you jump around and you have a sword attack. You also have some magic attacks. The magic attacks generally are kind of underwhelming, if you will. The first one you start with is like a bow and arrow situation, and then you get some other attacks. The ice one is probably the best from my experience. The rest of them are kind of like meh, even though I tried them all. And that's it. Like, the monsters somewhat change. Sometimes they're just repeated with different colors of skin. Sometimes I add a little bit, and then there's like these cloud bosses. In each level you can kind of find, well, in most levels, when you beat it, you get like more life for more magic or something along those lines. And then in certain levels you can fight like these cloud looking things that are like the clouds of chaos. I kind of just made that name up because the game never explains it. They drop the same thing, like magic up or life up tokens, essentially. And then there's a total of about 6 worlds, I want to say. Let me look. I wrote it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 6 worlds. Technically 7. There's like a secret world. So 6 worlds, each one's got a boss. So once you kind of, you come in, you do like the initial opening up the place, you meet like the cast of characters that are going to like be your friends while you help them build their civilization. And then you slowly go through and play little action adventure spots every time you get to like a new monster lair. And then you play the final one and beat the boss, and then the people are saved. Now, going back to ActRaiser, with ActRaiser, you're either like the personification of this god, or you're playing like the cherubim or the seraph of the god in the town part, and then you're playing the god in the action adventure parts, or the action side-scroller parts. ActRaiser and ActRaiser Revolution are much tighter than this. I feel like this is kind of loose. This gives you more options. You can like bounce back, you can like deflect. And so the action and adventure part, the action side-scroller part, is a little more detailed with stuff you can actually do. But I feel like it just made it kind of more complicated, which made it less fun, to be honest. And I felt like it was the controls were a little looser, and that I was not making jumps that I thought I should make, or like I don't know. I didn't feel like it really held up its end of the bargain when it came to getting the job done. So in that regard, it just wasn't as good. And then the town building part is really where I feel like there was a misstep. So the town building part it's not really a town building part. It's a tower defense game. That's it. And the tower defense like never ends. So you move, you got to like build a road so you can, which lets you build more stuff. And then, but you can only build so much stuff, and then the stuff is like different defensive stuff or stuff to feed into like having people to run the defensive stuff. Like, it's all completely catered around this tower defense idea. While with ActRaiser, there was no tower defense. It was just you built your town out. It was very chill and relaxed. And then with ActRaiser Revolution, there was like these periodic like tower defense pieces, but I feel like it was much tighter. Because with this, it's like you build these things, you can kind of level them up, and you can add people to them. But I'm just kind of like, it was more stressful than anything else. Like, it wasn't like enjoyable. It was just like, oh my gosh. Because they just dump so much at you, and it's not a true tower defense where you can build like a maze, where you can really like upgrade stuff to a level where you feel comfortable, where the towers can take care of at least like easy guys. Like, I would like, if I like went away and stopped using my like magic, my little flying guy, then I would lose. You would lose like the level, and then you'd have to like do it again. And it was like really annoying because it was like you just had to constantly, monsters like came pretty quick, and when they came you had to like spend a lot of time instead of like building out to these sites, and then the sites required you to like build like a temple, and then the temple had to be populated by somebody, and it's like the monsters just, they kept coming, and it was just super annoying because then like you get like a brief reprieve for like 20 seconds, and you tried to like build out as much as possible so that you could just like crush. Like, at some point by the end of the game, I was like trying to knock out all the dungeons at like the exact same time. Like, hit one, hit the next one, hit the next one, and just be done with it because it was like, this is not fun. There's nothing about the town building, quote unquote, the tower defense. There was nothing enjoyable about it. Like I never felt like I was getting anywhere. I never felt like it was like that difficult. It was just like, oh, I gotta sit and do this stupid like. And sometimes I would just like leave the map because you can always leave these maps and then come back, and then it would be like back to no monsters for like a time limit. And so then I was like, okay, that's what I'd rather do because then I can just like move on with my day and get through this as fast as humanly possible. And that's kind of this game. Like the game's not even long. I think I beat it in like 1, 2, 3, 4, what, like 6 hours. Like it was under 8 hours, easy. And I wasn't even cruising through most of it. Like it's just not that fun. And that goes back to the side scrolling. The side scrolling was a little more fun, a little more detailed, but at some point it just got kind of annoying. Like there were so many traps and so many things doing that it's like, well, I have to take a hit at this spot. Like I'm not gonna like master this game to such a level that I can like dodge everything and be perfectly aligned and use every exact ability. So I just used cheat engine at some point because I was like, I'm not enjoying myself at all. Like it's a lot of, what would you call it? It's a lot of like cheapness. Like it just didn't feel good. Like I could die all day at like a FromSoft game, for example, and I would be like, this is my bad. I'm frustrated and angry, but whatever. This is like, I'd die and I'd be like, oh my gosh. And then I'd play like the whole level again, get to that same spot and like die again. Because I kept getting knocked like off a cliff by the same stupid thing. And I'm trying to like wait for it to come out. And it's like, this is not enjoyable to play at all. Like there's no strategy to it. It's just like, get good, but not even get good. It's like, okay, you just got to hit this thing with like the same stupid move. And then even the boss was kind of like, nah. So it's gameplay. It's really not that good. Like the whole time I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I wish I was playing ActRaiser instead. The game's so much better. Well, let's talk about the last part, which is the story. So I'm gonna let this play for a little bit here, and you can kind of see what the story is all about. Alright, so as you're seeing, we got the god Helios, so not even that. We have like the creator gods, and they created all these other gods, and they created humans, and they love the humans the most, right? And so when they pieced out, the lesser gods got upset and started treating humans poorly and kind of like enslaving them and whatnot. And then we had Helios. So who's Helios? Helios is not... I mean, this game is interesting. It seems to take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different things, like all the different groups of people that we're going to run into here that I'll show you in a little bit. They seem to be kind of like aligned with different like native groups of people, like a South African one, a Australia one, and like an American indigenous people situation, right? And they're all okay. Then the gods are like Greek. Right, and not even necessarily like the bad guy gods, lesser gods are all like the king of the trees, the king of the fire, the king of the snow or something, or queen of the snow, and they're like monstrous creatures. Then there's Helios, Helios is literally like the Greek god, right, who like rides a chariot across the sun. And so his whole thing is he sets out to like help the humans, protect them and such from these like lesser gods. You look into like Greek mythology and you look into some of the writings about him, and it's like he literally brings humans light. Right, so you had Prometheus brings them fire, but then Helios constantly is spoken of as like the person who brings light and restores light. And so the people are in like darkness, right? Because the gods created all this stuff and it was great, and then they pieced out, and then the lesser gods made it dark and made it hard for them to survive and all this stuff. And so Helios shows back up again, and every time you go to like a new area, there's like a prayer that they give where it's like Helios, bringer of light, yada yada yada, which is interesting because that's how he's referred to. But I mean, that's kind of based on that Greek mythology. Then the other part is, and then it's even like, it's interesting because like they keep reciting this prayer, and I was like, that sounds so familiar. So I went back and looked at some of this stuff. Like mythos, like Mithraic invocation is that, so they summoned a god, and the god was Helios, the lord of heaven and earth, the god of gods, right? And he brings light, and he blesses the people with understanding, stuff like that. Right, almost like a representation of like Jesus Christ, right? If we're going to go in the Judeo-Christian thing, Helios is the bringer of light, healer of whatever, protector, all that good stuff. Helios, occasionally he'll do like these things where he's like, oh, I found these people, let's go see where they're at, or he has like these conversations with himself, and then he has conversations with another god later on. But so like I said, there's 7 worlds. The first world that you're probably going to run into, because you just start right there, is the plains of Weedu. The story here is there's this daughter and there's his granddaughter and this aged grandfather, and he has a lot of faith. She doesn't have faith in Helios specifically. And then through like their very short stories, you learn that he has a brother somewhere who he hasn't seen in a long time, who left with like another group of people to set up like a tribe. And also the granddaughter, like develops faith in Helios through the things that you do. Now, the plains that we do is grasslands, so it's a lot of like just grasslands and hills, and then eventually a giant tree. And then the tree boss here he's like a slimy, they call him King of the Trees, but he's like a slime monster with a mask. And then from him you get the spell. I don't remember because I never used it, so clearly wasn't very good. I think like a shield? You get a shield from somebody. Anyway, the next place we go, which is not the next place I went, it's like the next place on the map, because you can kind of go to any of these in any order, but the next place on the map is the Vale of Yeg, and it's the Ice and Snow, and it's ruled by the Owl Goddess. Or no, the god, what is it, the Queen of Snow, whatever, but she's like an owl creature. And here's the brother. Oh, we found the brother. And then there's 3 kids. I don't think they ever get called grandkids. They just get called kids. So they're a little rambunctious crew. So there's a boy, the girl, and then the guy who's slow, slow-minded, but he's a good hunter. And so there's some back and forth about that. And then the brother of the guy from the Plains of Windu, he eventually croaks. Just in the process. And their story is very focused on like, oh, this guy's kind of slow. Is he cursed by the gods? No, he's not cursed by the gods. He's just good at some things, bad at other things. And again, it's like, it's pretty much the same story. They just develop faith in Helios and they come up with ways to survive in the winter, which is they can't grow crops, so they come up with hunting. And that's one of the things. When you get to these new levels, each new level, you get to like a certain point in their story, and it's like, oh, we've unlocked this new building type. But again, the building types, like you get farming in the Plains of Windu, and then Vale of Yeg, you get like husbandry, which is the animal stuff. There's virtually no difference. You can use either one. It doesn't matter. So it's very much like, because at first I was like, oh, this is cool, it'll be new stuff. And I'm like, it's the same stuff. It doesn't, it's so dumb. And then you unlock like new attack buildings and defense buildings. But at the end of the day, it's like, you just want more barracks and more archer towers. Because there's just like this mage tower thing, but it only works in like a line and it only periodically shoots. And you can't put it like in the crossroads. So it would hit like 4 different lines. You have to like, it's like very poorly done. It drives me nuts. And then there's like items that like make your stuff better, but they only cover like a very small like rubric. And so you got to place like a bunch of them and you like run out of resources because everything's with wood and there's only so much wood on the map. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. You have to build like these logging camps so they can get wood so you can build more. It is so annoying. I hate it so much. Anyway, that's the thing. They're all like that. Then there's Mount Agner, which is the second place I went to, which is like mountains, and then there's like volcano and lava and stuff. And there you fight the king of the mountain or something, the king of the sky. I don't remember. Who's a dragon? He's a fire dragon. Oh, so the owl goddess, she gives you the best spell in the game, which is this ice thing that shoots in every direction. And then from the dragon, you get the fire, which just shoots fire very slowly in front of you and usually causes you to take damage or die. So I never use that after like trying it a couple times. The story in Mount Agner is the father and daughter. These people are unrelated. So the first 2 people almost seem like they're like African indigenous. These people down here in the Mount of Agner almost seem more like American indigenous, just by like the looks they have. Everything is hand drawn, which the drawings are very nice. The stories are very boring and don't really go anywhere for the most part. By the way, the stories aren't like very detailed. That's why I'm just like, they come up periodically. Like sometimes it seems just sporadically, randomly, and like there's like always character growth, but it's like very slow, and I really don't have any attachment to these characters. Meanwhile, you go back to ActRaiser, and like all you would see is like a little tiny thing, but they'd have these like cute stories, or they'd have you like rescue their son, or like cure a plague, and they'd like request things, and you and your cherub buddy would like have a conversation about the neediness of people, and then like it had a really good payoff. So again, it's like everything about this is like just go play ActRaiser and ActRaiser Revolution. Like it's just better in every possible way. But anyway, back to here. So the daughter has like dreams about the dragon, and she prays to you directly sometimes, and the dad's like very warlike and he's got to protect the people. And then it's cute because at the end, when you like destroy the dragon, he's like, I can now retire because my leadership is no longer needed because all I know is war. Next is the Arunan Isles, which I don't know if these people are supposed to be from, but it's like India maybe, because the boss, they have a lot of India kind of like the peninsula, what's it called, like background or whatever. A lot of themes with that, like just kind of the architecture and stuff, which cribs completely. There's like and again, all these levels have like equivalents in ActRaiser, so it's very much, it's not even a homage. It's like they just like took stuff and like, it's almost like you didn't quite understand why this was a good game. You just knew people liked it, and there was a whole, like I would love like a better version of ActRaiser that had like more complete stuff, more complete world building and better, but you know, this is what we got. Anyway, so this is just a bunch of friends, like their shaman and their adult leaders all died. It's water oriented. You spend a lot of time underwater, which is, they don't make it painful. You just like go underwater, you don't go underwater, it doesn't matter. And they just stumble around and bicker with each other about stuff, and that's that. And so all the levels are kind of islands or water, and then at the end is like this kind of like monkey thing, again with like kind of like that Thailand, I want to say even more so, that Southeast Asian kind of like flair to it. Then the last like official level where you actually do like town building and stuff is the best when it comes to the story. It's a desert level. The boss is some tentacle monster, which ends up just being a big snake that like shoots up its tentacles during the tower defense stuff. There's an old woman and this like crazy old looking, like aboriginal looking dude who just like says crazy things and like has a conversation with a dog, and the woman just berates him, and it's hilarious. It is actually well written and pretty funny when it comes up. Yeah. So that's that. So then the last quote-unquote level is this place called Erebus. And when you first go there, you play like a little short thing, and then there's nothing there. There's no people there, but you run into your cousin, Zagaris. So now we gotta ask, who's Zagaris? Zagaris is... It's a lot of mixed stuff. In Greek mythology, there's like... It depends how far you go back. Like the Greek mythology we have, like Hades, Pluto... Oh, that's Roman. Hades, Zeus, and not Triton... Poseidon. They're like the three main gods, and they overthrew the Titans and like the God of War stuff everyone's familiar with. So that's not like the original Greek mythology. That developed from like earlier stories and stuff put together, and kind of evolved into like what became cool and popular these days. So Zagaris is like kind of like the original incarnation. Well, it's many things. He's either in like some writings in the early Greek, he's the earliest incarnation of Hades, or like a son of Hades. So Zagaris he's either Hades, one of the original incarnations of Hades in the mythology, or he's oftentimes associated with Dionysus, who's Bacchus, who's the god of wine and lust and stuff. So you meet this guy, and Helios is like, "Oh, cousin," and like, "Oh, cousin, how are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to help the people because the gods." And he's like, "Oh yeah, those guys are assholes, blah blah blah." And then they talk about like there's this big circle thing with the things, and he's like, "Oh, you must go to each one of the lands and like get the token, or defeat the gods, and then you can come here and fight the dark chaos or whatever." And so you go do that, and then when you come back after you've done all that, he's like, "Oh, be careful, chaos reigns, and the night of Erebos," and some like very dark stuff. And then you guys chit chat about him like banging chicks for a little bit, and then and so you get in there, and it's like the last level. And so you go through this level, and it's pretty straightforward. It's like a red sky, and it's just like a castle parapet and kind of stuff. And then you fight this big dude with a big hammer and a shield, and he summons like the little cloud friends that had been fought before, and then you beat him, and then it's like, all right, and you leave, and nothing's changed, and it's like, Helios defeated, but because he defeated all the lesser gods, it just opened up the path for the true chaos. And then you go talk to all the people again, and they're like, "Oh no, things have not gotten any better." And they're like the 5 main places. And then you go back to Erebus, and your cousin Zagaris is like, "Yo, brother, things have not gotten better. You got to go fight the real chaos and take care of that." And then you're like, "All right, cool, sounds good." So then you find like this thing that's just like circling around the map, like a flying fortress, and you hit that. And then you go through this awful level. It's like you're constantly being like tapped off edges. So even though we cheated. I kept getting tossed off edges. And so it took forever, and then I finally got to the top, and then there's a little checkpoint, and then you get to the boss rush mode, which again is just a crib off ActRaiser, which had the same thing at the end of the game. And so you play all the very boring, easily defeated bosses again, and then you fight the final boss, Chaos. He's like a giant minotaur with 3 eyes, and then he can summon little shadow monsters to help him. It seemed like a pretty intense fight. Again, I was invincible because I cheated. But I guess there's a way. I was looking up online. If you can like, when you use your shield to deflect something, you become invincible for like a certain amount of time. That's like how you're supposed to play through this game. And if you can master that, it's like super easy, which to me is like, it is super easy. I just cheated, just like you're cheating. And with that, Helios has saved the people. And then we get kind of like a run around where we can see all the people, how they're doing, and they've all gained so much faith, and they're so happy. Oh, that's one of the stories too, when before you come and fight the final boss, like all the people are like, "I'm scared, but I believe Helios will save us." And you're like, "Oh, that's cute." So then after you talk to all the people, you go back, and you and Zagaris are chit-chatting, and you're like, "Oh, I guess it's time for us to go and leave the humans to be." And Zagaris is like, "Do you really believe they'll be okay without our help?" And Helios is like, "Yes, I have faith in them." And it's like, oh, it all comes full circle. And then the game ends, but not before we get a lecture from the game about being mean. It's like, oh, if we ever are mean to people and we don't take care of each other and we don't protect the earth, some bullcrap, then the evil chaos could come back, and then we need to pray for Helios to come save us again. And I was like, this is a very interesting message. But yeah, that's SolSeraph. It was very, I wouldn't even say it's mid. That's the thing. It's like a 6 out of 10 maybe. I didn't dislike playing it per se, but when it was over, I was like, this could have been 1,000 times better. And I really just wanted to play more ActRaiser, which I'm going to get to. I'm playing through Kingdom Hearts right now because I hate myself. But after that, I'm going to do all the Quintet games, I think. Starting with ActRaiser and even ActRaiser 2, which is not part of that whole series, but it's like 5 or 6 games in that round, and they're awesome. But anyway, there you go, SolSeraph. It was a thing I played, and it was alright. But I would just get ActRaiser Revolution. That itch is really burning your heart. This is something. If you can get it on sale, it might be worth your time. But yeah, cool. Catch y'all later.